Greetings and welcome to Yarnspirations. I'm Mary Beth Temple for Hooked for Life, and in this video we're going to take a closer look at the mini triangle knit bunting. Now this is knit in sections in a bunch of colors of lily, sugar, and cream. You can click the link below to download the free pattern to get more information on the materials. And while you're down there, please be sure to subscribe to the channel for fresh content weekly on knitting, crocheting, and other yarny stuff. We're going to knit our triangles, we're going to put on an applied I-cord edging, and it's going to be very simple to do and lots of fun, so let's get started. So following along with our instructions here, we're going to knit the very first triangle. With A, we're going to cast on 2 stitches, and then I just wanted to point out there's a double asterisk here and one here, and I want you to notice where those are because they're going to matter later. So for the first row, which is a right side row, it says knit 2. 1, 2. Now for the second row, it says knit to last stitch KFB. That's knit front and back, and it is an increase. So we're going to knit to the last stitch. In this case, that was only 1. So to knit front and back, we're going to knit a stitch like we always would in the front of the stitch, but we're not going to push it off the left-hand needle. We're going to leave it there. Now we're going to knit a second stitch in the back loop of the same stitch. And when that is completed, now we're going to push the whole thing off the left-hand needle. So we had 2 stitches, and now we have 3. Now it says repeat first and second rows until there are 8 stitches. So the first row is knit. And the second row is knit to last stitch, KFB. Knit to last stitch, in this case there will be 2. KFB, knit in the front of the stitch. Do not push it off the left-hand needle. Knit in the back of the same stitch, and then push it off the left-hand needle. So we had 3, now we have 4. So we're going to keep going until there are 8. So the next row is a first row, that'll be knit. The row after that will be a second row, which is knit to last stitch KFB. So I'm going to keep doing that until I have 8 stitches. 7, 8. And that was a second row because it was an increase row. So I have repeated first and second rows until there are 8 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Then it says next row knit. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then the next row says knit to last 2 stitches and knit 2 together. Now knit 2 together is a decrease, so I'm going to have 7 stitches at the end of this row. So let's take a look. Okay, so I've knit across till there's 2 stitches, going to knit 2 together. So I'm just going to knit the way I always do, but I'm going to knit 2 stitches together as if they're 1. Run over and pull it through and push both of those off at the same time. So now I have 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So it says repeat the last 2 rows until there are 2 stitches. Break yarn and join next color. So we're going to work even on the other side. And remember, there will be 1 fewer stitch after every decrease row, but this is just the work even row. And let's take a look at that decrease one more time. So we did the knit row, and now we're doing knit to last 2 stitches, knit 2 together. There's our knit 2 together. So now we had 7, we should have 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and you see our little triangles happening here. We did the increasing to there, decreasing till we get to 2. So I'm going to come back and just show you how to start the next one. Right, I have 3 stitches, so I'm going to knit 1, knit 2 together. There's my little triangle. So it says break yarn and join next color. I'm just going to cut it. I like to leave nice long tails because I want to be able to weave them in later. So I'm just going to leave a nice long tail, let that hang. And then the next row, we're going back to that double asterisk. We're going back to here because we finished our first one. And then it says work the next triangles in this color order, which is B, C, D, E, F, A, and then repeat from double asterisk to double asterisk until there are 24 triangles. So my next row is a knit, and I know it says join the new color, but I am not a fan of the knots. So really what I do is I pull up a fold of yarn 4 to 6 inches, 10 to 15 centimeters from the end, and I just knit with it. I knit starting with that fold because I can weave those ends in later. So there was my knit row. Make sure you're knitting with the working yarn and not the tail, which is a failing of mine. And then it says we're on the second, so the first row was that knit. The second row is knit to last stitch, knit front and back. So remember with the new color, knit to last stitch, knit front and back. We've gone from 2 to 3. And don't worry if it looks a little loosey-goosey there. When you weave those ends in, that will tighten all up. So again, you can see here's our straight edge. There's our increasing, and there's our decreasing. Now we've changed colors, increasing and then decreasing, and then increasing and decreasing. And so we're going to keep doing that until all 24 triangles are made, or you have as many as you want on your piece. And then I want to talk about how to do the cord that finishes off the top. So there are my little triangles. I wove the ends in so that I wouldn't have mess while we were going on to the next step, and your piece of course will be much longer. But now we're moving on to where it says bunting ties and I-cord edge, and that is on the top of page 2. So it says with the pair of double pointed needles and G, which is the soft ecru, cast on 3 stitches. Knit 3, do not turn, slide stitches to opposite end of needle, knit 3, repeat from asterisk to asterisk until the work measures from beginning 2 inches or 5 centimeters. Do not cast off. So if you've ever done I-cord before, this is all we're asking you to do, is do I-cord. But so here I've cast on my 3 stitches. So if I was knitting in rows, I would be turning the work, but I'm not going to turn the work. It tells you very specifically not to turn the work. Slide the stitches back to the other end and knit 3. Now my working yarn is over here. It's on the other side. So I want to give it a good tug when I get there because I don't want it to ladder. Oops. Let me get that going there. One, 2, 3, and then we're going to slide it to the other side. And again, give that first stitch a little tug. You want to make sure it's nice and tight so you get a corded look. 3. See my little cord building up? And slide. So this is simple I-cord, and you're going to do this until it's about 2 inches long. Slide. So see, the reason you saw me a couple times tug it on the bottom It just makes it look a little more cord-like when you get started. All right, so it's going to curl in on itself and look like a little cord. So let's do that till we have our 2 inches. So here's my little section of the simple I cord at the beginning. And you can see that it makes that cord, it just rolls all the way around. It's a little easier to see once you have a little more on of it. So now, we're going to start attaching to the actual triangle. So on this row, we're going to go our knit 3, 1, 2, 3. Now before we slide it, it says pick up 1 stitch from edge of triangle bunting, beginning at the top right hand corner. So this is where my cast off edge is, so this is where I'm going to go. Now I like to sort of get it in there under the bumps because I think it makes it sturdy, but for that, first the cast off is right there, so I'm going to go there. So I'm going to pick up my stitch, I'm going to insert my right hand needle under that yarn that I want. I'm going to yarn over and pull it through, and that's my picked up stitch. So now I have 4 stitches on there. Now it says slide 4 stitches over to opposite end of needle. Bring yarn around the back of the work, which is what we've been doing, but I have 4 now instead of 3, and you can see I'm attached. It says knit 2, 1, 2, and then it says knit 2 TOG TBL, that's knit 2 together through back loop. So I'm going to knit these 2 stitches as one, but I'm going to do it through the back loop, not the front loop. So there's my knit 2 together through back loop. Now it says repeat from asterisk across top of triangle bunting and do not cast off. So we're going back to the asterisk, it says pick up 1 stitch. So we're going to do that pickup before we slide. So there's my next bump. I'm just going to go right under there. I'm going to pick up my stitch. Now I have 4. Now I'm going to slide. Still want to give that a proper tug so that the cord stays nice and even. Knit 2, 1, 2. Knit 2 together through back loop, so not through the front loop, through the back loop, and it just makes it look nicer. There's my knit 2 together through the back loop, back down to 3. Now I'm going to go for the next bump, pick up the next stitch. I like to go under that bump, use my yarn over and pick it up. Now that I have 4, I'm going to slide. One, whoops, let's see if I can pick that up. Here we go. 2, knit 2 together through back loop. Go to the next bump, go under the bump, yarn over, pick it up. Now I have 4 and slide. So do you see how it's attaching itself to the triangles? And you're going to do that all the way across your 24 triangles, or however many you have, until that cord goes all the way across the top, all the way across the top, all the way across the top. And then when you get to the other end, you're going to stop that pickup. You're going to do 2 inches of just the simple I cord, so we have the same at the end as we have at the beginning. Now, if you're doing these pickups and you're going every bump like I suggest, and it starts stretching out too much, it's okay to skip one on occasion. You don't want it to pull out like crazy. You know what I mean? If it starts stretching out like crazy. But my experience is if you pick up 1 stitch from every bump, you're going to be just fine. And if it's pulling too tight, you can always add some extra stitches. So it's pulling out too much, you have too many stitches, pick up fewer. And if it's tight and unhappy, you have too few stitches, you can pick up some extra. But that's all you have to do to get that finished. So thank you so much for joining us here for the mini triangle knit bunting. made in Lily Sugar and Cream. I'm Mary Beth Temple for Hooked for Life, and I hope you had a wonderful time with this video. Please subscribe to the channel for fresh content weekly on knitting, crocheting, and other yarny stuff. And as always, we look forward to seeing you here on Yarnspirations real soon. Bye-bye!